Here in East Texas, stories matter. On the Right Team podcast, we bring you the best of it all: local sports, rich history, and national takes with a hometown perspective, along with faith and inspiration to keep you moving forward. From the classroom to the field, we're about learning, growing, and celebrating the communities we call home. There's something here for everyone. Listen to the Right Team podcast wherever you get your favorite podcasts. The Right Team podcast, East Texas stories told right. This episode of the Right Team podcast is also brought to you by Stiles Electric. For over 25 years, Stiles Electric has been providing reliable, professional electrical installation and repair service all throughout East Texas and beyond. We specialize in industrial and commercial projects of all sizes. We are proud to be a part of our communities and schools here in East Texas. Contact us today at 903-236-2536. That's Stiles Electric, reliable, professional, and experienced. Welcome back to another special edition of From the Press Box on the Right Team podcast. I am the host, David Weaver, of the podcast, and I have a very special guest with me here today, none other than the head baseball coach at East Texas Baptist University, who literally is coming off of his second consecutive American Southwest Conference championship less than 24 hours ago. Coach, welcome to the show and congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much, and thanks for having me.
So I want to go back a little ways before we talk about most recent things and just kind of share some personal stuff here. But I don't know if you remember this, but I was the sports editor of the Marshall News Messenger back in the late 90s, I think. And I vaguely remember covering some Dixie Youth Baseball and All-Stars and things that in Marshall with you and your brother. Who now, of course, you are in your 10th year as head coach at ETBU, and your brother is just now starting to build his program over at our alma mater over there at Marshall. Do you feel as old as I do when I share that?
Every day.
And you mentioned before we started recording, you're running on fumes today, and welcome to age, because it doesn't get any better, right? It doesn't get any better. But let's get into a little bit more serious thing here. And so I was the sports information director there at ETBU for 12 years. And I think we just missed each other. I was on my way out in August of 2012, and you came, I think, a couple of years later, maybe even sooner than that, right after that, and joined the staff of Coach Lee Driggers there at ETBU. And then, of course, when Coach Driggers left, you ascended into this role. Kind of tell us a little bit about how you got to that point in your career. I know you went on to play college ball and everything like that. What brought you back to Marshall, and specifically landed you at ETBU?
It's been a journey, that's for sure. I finished out my playing career at University of Texas at Tyler over there, and we won that program's first conference championship my last year there, and I had an injury that I had surgery on right after the season, and I was really kind of in a place in my life I didn't really know what I was going to do or what I had going on. My junior college coach that I played for offered me an opportunity to come and get my internship done in the spring, that following spring, with their baseball program, and to finish up my degree. And that was at Hill College. So I went to Hill College, was a volunteer assistant for a season. Went there, went and coached in Cooperstown, New York that summer. Home field was Doubleday Field and right outside the Hall of Fame. It was a really pretty awesome experience. And while I was up there, I got offered the recruiting coordinator and top assistant job at Hill College. So I was there for 2 years. During that time, the girl that I'd been dating had graduated law school and was doing her thing, and she got offered a job in Gregg County back in Longview, and right at that same time the assistant coaching job at ETBU had opened up, and so um, we got married, moved back home, and the rest is kind of history.
Yeah, we should mention you did marry a local girl as well, right?
I did,
and a lawyer at that. So that's
yeah.
got to be fun.
Yeah.
And so it was literally full circle for you to be able to come back and obviously get a job there in Marshall and at ETBU, and a team that actually a program you had competed against when you're at UT Tyler. What were your expectations coming into that in terms of, hey, this could possibly be a head coaching job for me at some point? Or, I mean, when you first came back to ETBU, what were you thinking as far as a career, way your career was playing out?
Well, at that point in time, when my thoughts of ETBU baseball were just what we played against, and when I was in college, and and they weren't very good, right? And we would beat them pretty single handedly in a weekend series, and not only that, but they had a totally different team. It seemed like year to year. And so when we got here, and I'm be honest with you, I took this job just to stay in baseball, right? Madison had great opportunities, with her career that she couldn't pass up, and it just kind of this door just opened up, and when that happened, just like, okay, well, this is a way for me to stay in baseball, and so I got here, and those first couple of weeks were pretty rough, we went out first practice, and I think we put them through some sort of pro style workout or whatever. And I went home and I told Madison, I don't think we're going to win one single game. There were, in the program that we took, there wasn't a whole lot of expectation of winning games, and that was very clear. And so that's where we had to start, and that's what we had to change.
And you're not joking. I remember sitting out there some long weekends out there at that ball field when UT Tyler came to town. I was never so glad to see a Sunday in my life after those weekends. You guys handled us pretty good. So, and I agree. I mean, it was kind of let's just say a transitional program at that point. There was a revolving door and a lot of stuff going in and out. And so I'm assuming, coming off of your time with Coach Driggers, who I know was brought in there to try and settle all of that down, right? To try to give it some direction and some stability. And you kind of came in on the tail end of that, and it landed there. Once you did get the head coaching job, what then became your goals in terms of, okay, now here's how we take it from this level where it was to where I want it to go, and then kind of the foundational pieces of what your program is, and then now 10 years later, looking back, how have you guys accomplished what you originally wanted to see back then?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was, like we had to change the expectation of the program, of the players that were already here, and we had to change the structure. We had to put these kids in a structured environment, to where they could develop, physically, they could develop within the game, and then also in my own development, and coming here, of ETBU, and growing up in Marshall for 18 years and living here. I mean, I tell people I was maybe on this campus 2 or 3 times throughout my entire lifetime, up to that point, and there was no reason behind that. It was just I guess, the perception of the hometown school. And of course, I didn't want to go to school here. I wanted to go as far away as I possibly could, and never coming back to Marshall again, that type of deal. But once I got to this campus, and I began to see, like, the opportunities that students here have to grow in their faith, the programs that they have set up for coaches to grow in their faith, and to mature, and to, that's I began to that's what I wanted to raise my family in, and that's how I wanted us to build this program. And when you start understanding what the school offers kids, right? So then in the recruiting process, you could be totally transparent with that. And what we have found is that there are highly talented baseball players that are looking for a smaller Christian institution, to where they can thrive. And that's where we have made our living, by being totally honest about the expectation here and what kids can expect. We don't. I don't want to sell the baseball program. Baseball will let you down 90% of the time, and so for us, I think that we have done a really good job at painting a picture of the 4-year model, especially early on, painting the 4-year model of what their experience, will be here outside of baseball. And, and and then on top of that, like what we can do when you have a kid here for their entirety of their athletic career. Yes, they're going to develop physically. Yes, they're going to develop in the game, and that's when you started seeing the program really take off. That first recruiting class, I think when we were here, I think I brought in 28, 29 freshmen, something like that. And then year two, we started 9 freshmen at a time on the field. And we got our face kicked in more times than not. And anytime you're playing that many young guys with no college experience, I mean, you're going to get beat. But they were learning and they were growing. And then the next year, that group came back, and they got a little bit better. And then the next year, they all came back. So by their third or fourth year, then you started seeing 30-win seasons. Then you started seeing competing for conference championships. And so I felt like that we had a really good model going as far as the recruiting process goes, and being able to get the kids in here that loved ETBU, that loved being a part of our baseball program, and that wanted to go and take this place, in our program to new heights.
Great way of explaining that, I think, and it kind of fits with the way that you've seen your program grow. Is that you do recruit kids who, by and large, buy into that, and you'll see them stay for 4 years, which is very unusual to see in this day and age of college athletics, right? I mean, yes. You kind of had, as you said, there was kind of a revolving door in many areas of D3, back in the early part of the 2000s. But now, if you can give them that stability and you can give them something that they believe in, and oh, by the way, you can play baseball here for 4 years and get better as a player and enjoy the game. That really is a really good selling point, particularly for what you're trying to do there at ETBU, right?
Yes, absolutely. And we all, that was a hot topic this weekend about, the portal and losing kids and, and all this different stuff. Which it's listen, if I mean, we're going to continue to fight that. We're going to continue to fight that. But I do believe that there's a lot to be said by being totally transparent in the recruiting process. Okay. So that way, that kid, that family has all the information that they need to be able to make an educated decision on where he's likely to spend the next 4 years. Okay. Now, once that kid gets here, I believe that it's the job of the coaching staff, the job of the program, the job of the school to immerse him into that experience, right? To make it to where they don't want to leave. And I think when you have, those two factors working hand in hand, and it's, not a selling point of what we can just do on the baseball program or what, academically or, whatever that you're going to experience, when it's going hand in hand with the experience, I've found that kids come here and they fall in love with this place. They come here and they're surrounded in a community of like-minded people, and they get to a point to where they don't want to leave. And so that, I think, is the ultimate goal. That's what we're trying to accomplish, is to put kids in situations that they are most likely to be successful.
And it obviously helps you. You've gotten some buy-in, obviously, from the university itself. You say it kind of goes hand in hand, because, I mean, all it takes is just one little peek at what you guys have done there in terms of a facility improvement part of this thing that goes into that, right? I mean, you actually feel when you walk on to ETBU and go down to Young Field right now that you're walking onto, a big time baseball facility. I mean, you got turf field, you got a brand new grandstand with a brand new press box, and it's no longer taking your life into your own hands when you try to get into that thing, and you got your fancy new, locker room and everything out there that over the last couple seasons. I mean, you guys, I don't want to kind of oversell this because I don't go all over the country now anymore, but I mean, it's hard to imagine you guys don't have at least the top 5 Division III baseball facility in the country, and maybe the number 1 at this point.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with you there.
And have you seen that benefit you in your recruiting?
Yeah, absolutely. There has to be, with where our program is now, right? So we've built this thing and we've grinded and put this thing on the map to where now, right now, you want to compete for a national championship every single year, right? And so the way that you do that is, through highly talented young kids and freshmen recruiting, high school seniors, the ability to go after a Division II transfer or a junior college transfer, or maybe even a Division I kickback, right? So what that does is, as soon as they step on foot on the campus, right, you've got that wow factor. Okay. And so it's just like going fishing. You gotta set the hook just a little bit, right? And so now you've got their attention. Okay. Now you can tell them what the expectation is. The expectations come here and compete for a national championship. You can show them all this stuff, and they're just wide eyed throughout the entirety of the day. And then you can tell them exactly what you're all about, what your school's all about, what your program's all about, what they can expect from their 4-year or 2-year experience here, what they can expect from their coaching staff and their players. And it was really just the perfect storm. I remember exactly when it was happening. I believe it was the season of 2016, maybe 2017, which was Dr. Blackburn's first year here on campus. And he met with all the coaching staff, and he went through and he asked every single one of us, what do you need to have to be successful? And and I was in my first year of as a head coach. I was 24, 25 at the time. And you got this demanding presence of a man asking, what do you need to be successful? And it's just like, and he's like, we're going to get it done for you, and it was just the perfect storm of, him coming to ETBU and his vision, and what he wanted to accomplish for the university, and our students and our athletic programs. Just so happened that year we had our first, I think, 30-win season. We went to a conference championship and got beat, right? So the excitement level was up, and we were starting to roll, and we were starting to go on an upward trend as he was, Dr. Blackburn and his staff was coming in and making improvements to the school. So it all kind of happened at this just most unique, beautiful time. And it happened exactly the way it was supposed to. And we're just so fortunate here, so blessed to have the administration backing that we do. And if anybody was here this weekend and saw the atmosphere in which this conference tournament was played, it was absolutely electric, right? And I know there's a number of mid-major Division I schools that don't have that atmosphere at their ball games, that we had here this weekend. And so a lot of that is in part of our administration. A lot of it is the type of kids and the level of players that we have, and the former players that have put this program on the map.
And that's a great point. Again, with my history out there, it was a dream to kind of envision what you guys have now built in terms of, really, from a fan perspective, you're only limited by your imagination. I mean, you see folks out there in lawn chairs, you see folks out there in blankets, you see folks, down the left field line, watching a ball. I mean, and back in the day, it was kind of hard to envision that in many ways, and you guys have made it happen. And I would vouch for that and say it is probably one of the better sports environment you'll find, particularly on a weekend around here, that you can take part in. And it's put you guys on the map in terms of hosting big time, regionals, and I know your play goes into a lot of that kind of stuff. But I know now the NCAA doesn't blink an eye when they bring an event to, a baseball event to ETBU this time of year.
No, they do not. And what's pretty impressive, and this is with our administration. But I mean, we're one of the only campuses in the country that have hosted, you know, multiple national tournaments at one time. Saying baseball and softball at the same time, and it's because our administration is willing to do that, and the NCAA trusts our administration to do that, and so I mean, and you said it too. Like when you're talking about it right now, we've got an opportunity to play in our fourth regional. We've hosted the last three. We've hosted two super regional tournaments here, and like there was no way that was even in the conversation 12 years ago. You know, uh, with what we had going on, and it was just a dream. It was a vision, and but so many things have come perfectly into place for that to be a reality. And it's a great sporting venue to come watch a game. There's a team that we've met a couple of times in the regionals that we've had here, and I remember the first one we hosted. He came up to me and he said, "Coach," he goes, "I just want you to know that this was one of the best environments that we've ever played in." And it just speaks a lot to our campus life here, our students, fans, administration, and what we got going on for sure.
Okay, let's talk about some baseball here. There's obviously, look, if you weren't successful, we probably wouldn't be talking to you, today, right? That's obvious. And I probably shouldn't say that because I want to talk to everybody. But you're coming off of back-to-back conference championships in the American Southwest Conference. You guys literally just yesterday won that second straight there at Young Field. 3 out of the last 4, you guys have won the conference tournament. And you're now looking to go forward into the regionals. I remember back at the beginning of the year, I do some work down at softball. Usually I don't get to watch a whole lot of you guys because I'm always down there. But, at the beginning of the season, you ask around, you ask Adam Ledyard to say, "Hey, what is baseball looking like this year and everything?" He's like, "Well, very young, got to grow into that kind of thing." And you're thinking, okay, it's going to be one of those kinds of years. So I ask that question now and say, knowing all of that at the beginning of the year, there's some probably unknowns always going into a season. How has this team this year, coming off of the defending the conference championship, how have they grown? How have they developed? What are you pleased with the most in seeing from this particular ball club?
Well, I think when you start talking about this story, you have to go back to the day after the regional championship last year, right? So, regional championship last year, we got done, and I think we graduated 14, 15 guys. And then after exit meetings and guys making decisions to move on, life after baseball and guys graduating and things like that, we were looking at our roster and we had 11 dudes, okay, 11 guys that we were working with. So I mean, we had recruits on campus the day after the regional tournament, and we had, all in all, I think we brought in 34, 35 new guys. Most of those were signed in the summer. Um, a lot of transfer guys. So the roster this year, we had 2 returning guys that have been 4-year guys for us, and a lot of that has to do, various things. But I set those 2 kids down, Matthew Irwin and Connor Massimini, and I told them, I said, "Look," I said, "with so many new guys coming in, all right, from different programs all over the country, some successful, some not so successful, it's going to be up to you 2 guys to keep the train moving." I said, "You guys have got to bring people together." And so I challenged them with that, and because it doesn't matter how talented a team is, if they're not a cohesive unit, you're going to lose games. You're going to have friction. You're going to have guys that are feeling sorry for themselves. You're going to have guys that, every time an error is made, well, why is he playing? I should be playing, this and that or whatever. Um, so a lot of it has been focused on team development and culture building. I believe that culture is one of the most important things that you can have in a program. And just like a bunt coverage, or just like a hitting approach or base running, like you have got to work and practice culture, and it's got to be consistent. And if you don't do that, then I don't believe a coach can get mad when people are mad about their roles or what they got going on, or if you've got cancers on your team. Like, you can't get mad at that when you don't actively work on the culture of your program and set the standard of what's going to how it's going to roll. So that was a big part of what was going on behind the scenes. Then you get out there on the field, and there were a lot of unknowns. We knew that we were highly talented, but we didn't know how we were going to all make it fit. And but there was a commonality. I mean, we knew that this team loved to play hard and they loved to compete. We really didn't have an identity offensively for the first couple of weeks of the season. We managed to stretch out some games and win some games. Um, but then we also got our face kicked in as well. Um, and I think that needs to happen from time to time. You have to put your team in situations to where they're going to face hardship. And I think where we have kind of fallen short in the past, maybe in some of those younger years, I'm not going to say that we were necessarily chasing wins, but we didn't do a well enough job, and we weren't. In fairness, we weren't established enough to get some of those blue blood programs to play us, and and so we didn't face a whole lot of adversity until we get to the conference tournament, and then some things wouldn't go our way, and then boom, it'd be over with. But where we're at now is that I want to play the best teams in the country. If we're not very good, then I want to get our face kicked in, and I want to know exactly what we have to do on Monday to get better. And if you're not playing the best competition that you can on a daily basis, and you're not testing yourselves, then you're really never going to know what you need to get better at. And and so when you're looking at some of the hardship that we faced early on, going on the road and getting swept at Belhaven, not ideal, wasn't fun, but losing's never fun, right? But the learning, right, and the process after that, um, that those types of moments are what's gotten this team to this point now, right? Being able to learn from failure, being able to push through when things aren't great. And it's a testament to our team and who they are as competitors, but also to who they are as men, right? That that they don't allow the situation to dictate how they're going to play the game. And as a coach, I think that's the part that we all strive to get to, is to that point to where it's like, yeah, these guys can handle just about anything that's going to come their way.
Yeah, and it's very important, I think, and it appears to me that you guys have been able to reach that point where the end goal and the expectation is to win championships. But we do it also while we're doing that, we're able to develop within the confines of trying to reach that goal, right? I mean, it's you guys can develop a brand new team, basically develop that culture while you're also focused on the ultimate goal, which is winning a conference championship. And all of that came together this past weekend. And that's really the cool part when you see it come together, right?
Oh yeah, well it's got to be. It can't always just be about baseball, right? You've got to develop other parts of the human being, and baseball will always take care of itself. I believe that if you're getting talented kids that love to compete, that have the will to win, that's going to take care of itself. But you have to make sure that you're developing the human being, and when you're putting people, young men, in high stress environments constantly, they learn how to work through those things. And so it's in everything. It's the way that we schedule, it's the way that we practice, right? I mean, we don't have any feel good days here in practice, because baseball is not a feel good sport. There's a lot of high stress environments, but I think that we do a really good job as a staff of helping those kids through those high stress environments. And then when we get out to the game and we're playing championship baseball and things aren't going our way, I mean, there's zero panic. I mean, it's just like, here we go again. Let's grind. Let's find a way to get it done. And if you look through the course of our season and some of our box scores, um, some of the bigger wins that we've had have had us starting in a 4-0 deficit, a 5-0 deficit. There was one that we were down 8-0 and came back and won. And and those things don't just happen by writing names on the lineup card and rolling dudes out there on the field. You have to work it every single day.
And I know with the way the conference setup was, particularly this year, it was a challenge in conference games because no one understands, unless you've been involved in it, how difficult it is to win, to perform and play at your best when you're playing double headers on back-to-back days. How big was that? I know specifically there was one game where you guys, I think, won game 4 by, it was like 25-17. I mean, it was some crazy score. It's kind of what you're talking about here at that point. You just kind of have to find a way to win, right?
Yeah. Well, first of all, you've got to have the depth on your roster to be able to compete on something like that. And I think that's, in recruiting and with our staff, we did a phenomenal job in preparing for that, just having the numbers and depth. But then, yes, I mean, the mental fortitude that it takes to play 4 games in a weekend at the college level. I know travel ball teams do it. They're like, oh, 4 games, that's not a big deal. But like 3 9-inning games in a 7-inning game at the college level, when there's everything on the line, every single pitch, that takes a lot out of you, and you have to have the mental fortitude to be able to do that. Um, and then on top of that, right? So we played Howard Payne the last series of the year, played them 4 times. Okay. Fortunate enough to win 4 games, but then you got to turn around the next weekend and play them for a 5th time, the first round of the conference tournament. Oh, by the way, now it starts for real, and so just to, that amount of lock in is no joke. It is no joke.
Yeah. And obviously, you came out the way that you wanted it to. In terms of the 3 titles that you guys have won, how does this one rank just for you as a coach in terms of feel goodness, right? I mean, that first one was the first one. You guys were really good that year. That was a year in 2023, I believe. You went to the World Series. That was obviously a special year. Does the fact that you've come through with all the challenges at the beginning of the year and the way the year went and with this conference schedule and everything, does that kind of give it a little bit of sweetness too?
Well, they're all special, right? And they've all got their defining moments. Each one was, difficult level was, different in each one. But I'll say this one about this year. And this has been a constant thing through my staff and I the entire year. It's been such an enjoyable group to be around, right? These kids, if we say that report time's 1 o'clock, I mean, they're out there at 12:35, just out there being around each other. They're high energy. It's evident that they have love for each other. It's evident that they have love for the game, and they're just fun to be around, right? And we say it here in the coach's offices, like we've got to have a team, okay, that we're okay with losing with. All right. And put that in perspective. And it's not saying that we want to go out and lose games, but when we do lose games, right, because it's going to happen, is it a team that we know that went out and gave everything that they had every single day, every single pitch, every single out? And did they do it with love in their hearts for their teammates? And in this team, I mean, that's exactly what we have. And that's what makes it so enjoyable. So yes, I mean there's a lot of things that had to happen right for us to win the championship yesterday. But it starts with the kids, and it starts with their willingness to put each other first, and to be selfless, and to go out and play hard each and every day, and that's what they've done. So yeah, a special year for sure.
Okay. So you're back in the regionals now. You got that berth secured. Just kind of tell us a little bit about what you expect in terms of, I mean, first of all, do you think you guys have a shot at hosting? I haven't looked at the rankings lately, But I mean, how does that all work out? What are you expecting now? What are you guys now moving forward into to get ready for that regional?
Yeah, so I think we've got a pretty decent shot at hosting. It depends what happens in some conference tournaments this weekend. I believe that we're pretty fortunate that we play our conference tournament early so that we can have a week off before the regionals. I think that it just does our bodies a service to kind of decompress and take some time away. So yeah, we're just kind of watching the scoreboards now of what goes on. I know the SCAC tournament, which is the other conference in Texas that usually we get paired up with. They're running their conference championship today. And then I think the SAA over a little bit east of us. I think we have an opportunity to run into their champion, whoever, depending on who it might be, because Trinity's in that conference now. Bellhaven's another opportunity. I think either we could be sent there, they could be sent here. And then you have out west, with the California teams and the Northwest schools. So it'd be interesting to see how it all shakes out. According to MPI, I think the West has an opportunity to get a little bit more at-large bids than had originally anticipated. But there's so many things that have to happen, and that's the thing about that MPI is it takes into account the scores of everybody in the country, and and it can change drastically in a matter of minutes. So it's kind of crazy right now.
Yeah. So what you're saying basically is you have no idea what could happen here in the next week or so.
In short, yes.
What we do know is that most likely, I think it takes place at the end of what would be next week as we're recording this, right? So you guys
Correct.
are 10 days-ish or so away from having to really worry about that kind of stuff.
Yeah, correct. So, we kind of messing with the guys. We sent out a practice plan this morning with kind of a hidden message in it. Yeah, oh yeah. But again, that's kind of our culture, and that's what we got going on, right? And but we're gonna give the guys a couple of days off and let them kind of enjoy this moment and recover a little bit, and then we're gonna get back after it here in a couple of days and probably give them the weekend off and then come back Monday and get rolling full bore.
You've been doing this enough now. I mean, you got to feel good about your team going into this. I mean, you're experienced at this. You guys know what to expect, and you got to feel good about it coming off of where you're kind of playing your best ball right now, would you say?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, for sure. And that's been the message from the beginning, is like, you don't want to, if you're peaking in February, then you're not going to be very good in May. And it's all about peaking in May.
Coach, I don't want to keep you anymore. I know you got a busy day today, and most of all, probably need some sleep. So I'm going to let you go here. But, man, I want you to know how much I respect and appreciate you and the job you've done out there to be able to get these Tigers rolling in baseball. And it's really good to see, and I appreciate all the work you guys have done. And just keep it going here, and hopefully we can talk again before this season's over about some bigger things.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate the opportunity to come on and talk with you. Thanks for following along. And, we'll give them our best shot. So I appreciate it.
I want to thank again Coach Jared Hood, baseball coach at ETBU, for joining us here on the Right Team podcast. This is David Weaver saying, as always, until next time, keep writing your story.
The college you choose plays a defining role in what you believe, how you think, and who you become. With over 45 undergraduate programs and 14 graduate programs, East Texas Baptist University offers a transformational, Christ-centered educational experience that challenges students in mind, body, and spirit. 99% of students attending ETBU receive some form of financial aid, making opportunity accessible and affordable at ETBU. Join the Tiger family. It's not too late. Apply today at etbu.edu/apply.
Here in East Texas, every story matters, and Right Team Services is here to help you tell yours. From grant writing for local schools and nonprofits to social media, press releases, and website content for small businesses, we're proud to serve the people and communities right here at home. Clear? Professional, effective. If you've got something to say, we'll help you say it right. Right Team Services, serving East Texas one story at a time.